this episode, we find a suitable SUV upgrade from a Suzuki Swift.
And we go in search of a reliable bakkie for suitable rubble removal.
And entry-level electric cars come under the spotlight.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. Every week we try to provide you with useful advice, whether it relates to buying, selling or maintaining a vehicle. If you've got a question for the team, you can send an email to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za, containing as much information as possible, as well as a picture of yourself.
And joining us in studio to help resolve those troubling automotive issues are Gift Makoti from Gifted Media and Fulu Mandane from Absa Bank. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Gift, you've been here before. Welcome.
Good to be back.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I feel excited to be here.
All right, let's get to our first question, which comes from Zanele, who wants to buy a 2021 Kia Picanto for 190,000 Rand. The dealership says she qualifies for an interest rate of 15%, but her friend got 12% on a similar car. She wants to know, why would her rate be higher, and is there anything she can do now to get a lower one? Also, is the Kia Picanto a good buy, or should she opt for something else? I think that's why we got you here, Fulu.
Yes, definitely. So Zanele's interest rate of 15% compared to her friend's 12% could be due to a number of reasons. One, it could be because of a credit score or the history, which will never be the same between different customers. The second one could be income to debt profile. If Zanele's one is lower or less stable income, you will get charged a little bit more than a friend. And then the other one is the loan term length, which is also a critical part of determining the interest, and the down payment or deposit as we know it, which also can contribute to the rate as well. Obviously there's other stuff like market conditions. I don't know when the friend bought the car versus her, so whether the interest rate was up or down.
There's something I always wanted to ask, and I've noticed it. People that actually have a lot of money, like Adam, he gets a lower interest rate than I, who doesn't have any money. Why is that with the banks, Fulu?
It's because I pay my debt and he doesn't. That's the why.
No, it could be, sometimes, if Adam has got a lot of money, he could put in an upfront deposit, unlike you, or that part that I mentioned about the income and the debt profile also contributes to that as well, yes.
So it's across the board with all, it's not only Absa Bank, but it's all the banks.
Across, yes.
And it all depends on specific person and, the whole profile of that person. Like we often see, you talk about your credit score. What is your credit score? You get a better credit score, you get a better rate.
Correct.
Let me just jump in and ask Gift here. Gift, Kia Picanto, besides the interest rates, is it a good car?
It's a good car, but I feel, if this person is already interested in getting a used car, why don't you go for a Rio if you're a Kia fan?
Yeah.
Because you get a little bit more space there. Because the Kia Picanto, it's a cute car, as a lot of people would call it, but a cute car will not be serving you cuteness all the way. You're going to need some practicality at some point.
Yeah.
And if this person is a single person, if they become a mom, that add a lot of extra space to put a pram at the back, all those ISOFIX points at the back will go a long way with a bit of leg room. Either you could look at the Rio, or you can even look at a 2021, 2022 Baleno, or you can even look at a Starlet. Same car after all, but I think those are the options they could look at.
Basically, those are other options if you want something slightly bigger.
Correct.
Yeah.
For the same, for the amount, that's a
Same
healthy
sort of
amount.
money.
Yeah, for a starter, 190 is a good price.
Yeah. But the Kia Picanto is not really a bad car.
No.
What you're saying is there are better options.
Yes, you can get
At
a little bit more.
190,000 Rand,
You can
definitely
get more car
for that money.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
But also, going back to the interest rates, fully, you sort of negotiate for a better rate.
Sure.
You can maybe go to other banks as well.
There's always a room for negotiations when you're doing financing. So most people do become a little bit scared when it comes to financing because they just think like what they get is final, but it's not always the case.
Because the dealer is always going to give them the sort of best deal for the dealer, not for the client, isn't there? So, just because you got told 15%.
In a bad position there, Adam.
Negotiate around, have a look at other dealers, maybe you'll get a
No, but
better interest
she can
rate.
also negotiate with the F&I. Can't she speak to the person on the floor there?
Correct.
And say, listen, can you get me a better rate?
Correct. And that's why F&Is are there within the dealerships, because that's their job. That's
Let's
what they
explain
do
what
and stuff.
F&I is. financial?
So an F&I is a finance and insurance
Insurance
manager. It's a lady or gentleman that's sitting in the dealership that specializes in finance. So they represent, in most cases, the banks, and they are qualified to actually help you with finance. And they are quite experts when it comes to financial products within the banks, as well as insurance as well for the customers.
Yes, and they can advise you where you would get your best deal.
Correct.
So there you go. There's some great advice there. Okay, we're going to move on to our next question, which is from 25-year-old Brenton, who drives a 2017 Suzuki Swift with 160,000 kilometers on it and needs a bigger car for his growing family. He's eyeing SUVs like the Nissan X-Trail, Hyundai Tucson, or the Haval H2 for camping and road trips. He's got a nice budget of 270,000 Rand, which he wants to finance, and he wants something reliable that can last at least 7 to 10 years, and he's open to any other suggestions besides that. Gift, what would you throw in there?
I think a big enough car because the family is growing.
Yeah.
Depending on what they're really looking for, and I mean, I think we can't ignore the 7 to 10 year amount of years that they want the car for. The Qashqai is also an option if you're looking at something with some roof rails to put some fishing rods on top or any other stuff they want to do with the car. But also I've put down here, it might be a bit of a boring car, but a Nissan NP300 for someone who wants to do multiple things with the vehicle. I think they can also look at that car. For that budget of 270,000, you'll have some change, but also you can get a not so older car. And the Hyundai Tucson, I see a lot of them on the road.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'll advocate for the Tucson, the Qashqai, and the NP300 if this is not a person who's looking for your car plays and all of that. Yeah.
And I'll give you a couple of cars that I had a look at. Cherry Tiggo 4, the LIT version, which is the basic 1.5. It doesn't have any turbochargers or any heavy technical stuff on it. So it should be very reliable. It's spacious, comfortable, and fairly modern. You're going to get a good warranty with that vehicle. So even if you buy it and it's 1 year old, you still get the balance of the 150,000 kilometer warranty. And you'll get a service plan with that. Kia Seltos is also another really good car in that. Suzuki Franks and the previous shape Jolion, all will fit into that budget of 270,000 Rand. Fulu, have you got any feelings on a nice family car?
Well, there's a few. I mean, you mentioned a few. I was just more worried about is intending to keep it for longer than 5 years and stuff like that, because then you want a much more younger used car with less than 100,000 Ks and maybe with still some form of service plan or maintenance plan and a warranty on the vehicles, right? If he's financing it, you want to make sure that your car is not older than 15 years by the time you settle your finance, so you get better deals as well when it comes to financing.
So basically, if you're buying a 5-year-old car and you want to finance it for 5 years, that's fine. But if you want to buy a 10-year-old car and finance it for 6 years, you can't.
You can't. You can only finance it for the remaining years or lifespan it has.
Well, we learn
Within
something new every
the
day.
15 year. Correct. Yeah.
So stay tuned, because after the break, we go in search of a reliable bakkie suitable for rubble removal.
And we help a first-time car buyer find the perfect sporty hatch. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Seasware is launching a rubble removal business and needs a tough single cab bakkie that's reliable and useful for heavy loads and rough work. He's looking at options like older Toyota Hilux, Isuzu KB, or a Mahindra pickup. And he's got a budget of 300,000 Rand. He wants low running costs, and durability are obviously key.
There's only one vehicle in that lot.
I didn't ask you. Ask Gift. Gift, what do you think?
Well, I'm seeing two vehicles here. I'm seeing that Isuzu and as well as the Mahindra. But Mahindra, you can actually get for that budget, you can get a fairly new one. Yeah, very low mileage. If you're lucky, something below 20,000 or 30,000 kilometers. And I mean, the dealer footprint, they've shown over the years that they're expanding regularly. But also, that's a car that's just built for
hard work.
For hard work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It does look like hard work even when you're looking at it. So I'll say he must go for the Mahindra pickup. Mustn't even think too much about it. This is the car for the type of job he wants to do with that, especially when he's mentioning low running cost and durability. I've never seen a Mahindra on the side of the road with a broken chassis or open bonnet.
Give it a
Because they
chance.
pick it up before
Give them a
anyone
chance.
sees
They will
it.
break them soon.
That's because they pick it up before anyone sees it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
put some sales. I mean, it's called pickup for a reason.
Yeah. Fudu, what do you think of Mahindra bakkies?
No, Mahindra bakkies are strong. I think we do finance a lot of those.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to also add, when it comes to affording a 300,000 bakkie, I think one thing that he mentions is that he's starting up a rubble removal business. Not sure if he's registering the company, because if he is, then he can actually afford any of those bakkies actually quite comfortably, because when you're financing a vehicle through business in South Africa, you get several tax advantages where you actually reduces your overall
Claim your
cost of
VAT
ownership.
back and things like
Actually,
that.
yeah. So if you think of that, you might be doing a finance for 300,000 or more, and in actual fact that your cost of actually owning that vehicle is far much less than actually even the most expensive bakkies that you can get. I mean, you can claim back on the wear and tear allowances, operating expenses, deductions, value-added tax recoveries, and all the other fringe benefits from it. So in actual fact, the 300,000 doesn't really become much for you as a business owner.
So it's also, you know, like a lot of people want to start a small business.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's beneficial for people to actually register that business
Correct.
as well and start a business.
Yep.
But that's for another show. You need the business show for that. But for our bakkies, we can help you with.
No, but
In terms of the three that you've given you, Isuzu KB, it's a great bakkie. Hilux, brilliant bakkie. But both the Isuzu and the Hilux
going to be older.
How many Ks are you going to have on them?
Oh, like 1 million Ks each probably.
300,000
Minimum.
rand, they're all going to be over 100,000 kilometers. And what Gift said is 100% correct. So you get brand spanking new. Before I came to show, look, brand
Mahindra pickup,
spanking new, 303,000 rands. I'm sure if you went in with your 300,000 rand and said, "That's all I
They'd give
got,"
it to you, yeah.
They'll give it to you. You get the Mahindra S4 bakkie with a drop sides. You know, it's got those drop
Yes,
sides,
I've
Yes.
seen that.
which makes it a hell of a lot easier to load stuff and offload stuff. And those drop sides, I think, are a lot more. They're made a lot more stronger than the normal buck.
And it's perfect for rubble removal.
And remember, now you're going to get a vehicle with a warranty for, I think it's 5 years, 100,000 kilometers, if memory serves me correct. You're most probably going to get a service plan in that. So any issues you have in the next couple of years, you're not going to pay for it. You just take it in and say, fix it.
What about the 4-ton 10-land workhorse, as well as the new 4-ton Truckmate?
Yeah, it's also
Because those are
Yes.
quite affordable. I mean, that's the Truckmate is.
This you can
is
buy from
about
new. You can buy new as well.
less than 200,000.
Yeah, and GWM Steed as well, if he wants to look in there.
Yep.
Oh,
In
that was
state.
another vehicle that I put down there. Was
Yeah.
the GWM 5 Steed 5.
yeah.
And you get that in a 2-liter diesel version, also for 300,000 rand.
Right, our next question is from Wisdom, and he's shopping for his first car. Something fun and sporty to drive. He's eyeing the Hyundai i20 N-Line, Suzuki Swift Sport, and Mazda 3 Estina, but also likes the features in the Suzuki Baleno and Renault Clio Turbo. Ouch. His 375,000 rand budget will be financed over 5 years with a max balloon payment, and he plans to trade it in after 3 years. Fulu, tell us about the balloon payment and how much of that you actually advise.
Yeah, there's three things that when I was going through that his question that I was a little bit concerned about, is that he needs to be wary of the finance and trading. He must sort of have a finance and trading strategy, right? So if you're gonna get a balloon, make sure that you're buying a vehicle that is gonna have strong hold its value.
Hold its value at the
over a
end,
long
yeah.
period. Because you don't want a situation where your
To finance
value of
your
your
balloon.
car is so low than your balloon that you can't even get out of the car. So it's important that he looks at those kind of things, the trading timing, the balloon payment, how much is it, and the warranty coverage as well. Because if you can't get out of that car, and it's very specific to say after 3 years, if you can't get out of the car because of the balloon, he's going to stick around with that car for some time, or he's going to have to carry that balloon into the next vehicles, which you don't want to, especially in the current economic.
And I suppose if you're looking at something financing over 3 years, he would have literally just paid the interest off, wouldn't
Correct. Yes.
he? And then he will still have, let's say he finances 375,000 rand. After 3 years, he most probably still owes 350,000 rand.
Correct.
And the car's going to be worth then 220,000 rand. So you're going to have a massive, massive shortfall. So to do something, we often advise on the show, do not get a vehicle with a balloon payment, because there's always tears at the end. The problem is now you look at it and say, oh, I can pay so much a month and I get this balloon payment, but I get this fancy car. And then after 3 years, it's like, oh my hell, why did I do that? What
You
it
know,
is.
the only thing I got to say to him is his mum didn't name him correctly. She named him Wisdom. He ain't using none of that.
Well,
Shots fired.
yeah, that was a bit below the belt, but that's important to look at. But let's move to the car gift, which is more exciting than the finance side of things, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's just a pity this person doesn't let us know how old they are.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when someone says sporty and fun to drive, it's...
I'm thinking 18 to 20-year-old.
I'm thinking that too. And with the little bit of power or sufficient power that you find in the Suzuki Swift Sport, as we always say on the show, I personally don't recommend anyone getting so much happiness under their right foot as their first car.
Yeah.
I still feel you need to, have a few bumper scratches here and there from your smaller
Yes.
1.4 non-turbo car, and this is not me trying to kill his vibe, because, I mean, he's clearly...
Buy sensible.
Exactly. There's clearly someone who's got eyes on the money, and they're very clear in what they want. I mean, they're already considering selling the car they don't have yet.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is someone who's going to get bored, definitely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could be someone who's just started working and they know, the bracket looks good and they're thinking they're going to... But if they're really going to look at a sportier car to look at in this case, I think it's only the Suzuki Swift Sport I can look at here. I wouldn't recommend them going for a Polo GTI or any other of those cars that it's going to be high in maintenance. And if it's your first car also, you're not going to be knowing way too many things about, dealer footprint and all of that. But Suzuki has proven over the years in South Africa that these are reliable cars. Yes, this one is not a car that is so well sought after like GTIs and stuff, but we see them on the road all the time. They look nice, the bumpers look fresh, and they're just...
But we just need to remind Wisdom, even if he's looking at the Suzuki Swift Sport,
Yes.
all those quick cars he's looking at have been drilled.
Yeah.
Nobody buys a Suzuki Swift Sport
To pocket.
to trundle down to the shops and back.
Sure.
Well,
They're driving it like it should be driven.
let's just have a look at his cars. The i20 N line is a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo. The Suzuki Swift Sport is a turbocharged car. I would say the two cars in there which are really good and that'll be reliable, and maybe you'll actually keep them longer than the 3 years that you're thinking of, is the Mazda 3, which is a really good, reliable car, and the Suzuki Baleno. Both great cars. They'll be cheap to run. They're good to look after. It's your first car. You won't know the difference anyway because you won't be used to performance cars.
Of course, of course.
So go drive something, like Gift quite rightly said, sensible and good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Honda. There's nothing wrong with the Suzuki Swift Sport. But I would recommend something like a Mazda 3. It's easier to drive. You know, they're all fast enough. I mean, modern day cars, you can all drive at stupid speeds, even in a Suzuki Baleno. I mean, we've seen them, haven't they? You know, we'll be taking a short break, but when we return, we find out whether paying off your car loan ahead of time is a clever move.
And entry-level electric cars come under the spotlight. Hello and thank you for tuning in to Buyer's Guide. Tsepiso has been paying off her Toyota Corolla for 3 years. She just got a huge bonus and wants to know if paying off the loan early is a good idea or if it's better to keep the extra cash for emergencies. She wants to know if there are any penalties for settling a car loan early and is it financially smarter to do so. Jump in here. Don't
It's a
waste
really
time.
good
Just dive
question.
in.
I like that question.
I like it too.
Often people have this situation.
Yeah, it obviously depends on the situations. But I think the most important thing that she needs to look at is a few things, such as number one, yes, there will be a penalty in terms of the settlement, especially if the amount is more than 250 or more. It will be included, and which most of the banks will charge about 3 months worth of interest as an early settlement fee. And then this is typically
3 months worth of interest or 3 months payments?
3 months worth of interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Per month.
No, as a settlement.
As a settlement,
Okay.
a settlement
Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah.
I see.
But this amount is normally included on the quotation, so she can actually see how much it is if that's what she's looking for. But to avoid the penalties, you are allowed to call in the bank about 3 months before you settle, just to give them notice that you'll be settling the next 3 months or so, and then the penalties will fall off. So you can save a little bit of money. So it can be a good thing if she doesn't have any other responsibilities, and she feels that this is the last debt that she just wants to get out of her space, so that she can focus on maybe investing or putting her money aside for something else. But if that's not the case, and she really needs the money for something else or invest it, she might as well just put it aside. I think she said she's been paying the car off for
3 years now.
3 years.
So we don't know if it's
correct, yeah.
how many years she got left.
Correct.
I think maybe the best thing in a situation like this would be to contact the finance house that's doing the vehicle finance and say, if I settle it now, what is my settlement today or for the next week or so? And then you can see exactly what is outstanding and seeing if it's worth your while to actually settle it. And a word of advice, you've been paying for this car for 3 years. So let's say you're paying 2,500 Rand a month for 3 years. A lot of people, when they finish paying their car, they think they've got an extra 2,500 Rand and they go mad and spend it. Take that money and invest it in something else. You've been paying for 3 years, you don't miss it anyway. Now we're going to end off things with a question from Edward, who wants to switch from his petrol VW Golf to an entry-level electric car like the GWM Aura or a BYD Dolphin. He'd like to know which affordable EV is the smartest choice for everyday use.
None of them.
There we go. Also, he wants to understand how banks look at financing an EV, especially when it comes to battery lifespan and future resale value. Let's just go on to that first part of the question. Get rid of your Golf and buy an EV. What do you think?
Firstly, when I read this, the first thing that came to mind is this is a strange move. You don't hear people moving from a Golf to an electric car like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if VW still has that electric Golf of theirs. If they still do have, you're already in a Golf family.
Yeah.
But it must be fuel reasons. And I did a bit of a comparison of how much it can actually cost you to fill up a tank of a Golf, say, with a week and a month versus electrical, probably going to be slightly cheaper with electric. Also, I think another thing to mention is that you must also consider the charging footprint of charging stations. How many, depending on where you live. If you live in the Western Cape and you would like to travel through the Garden Route, how much range do you have for the car you're looking at?
And the problem with entry-level cars is all the entry-level cars have fairly low ranges, although the BYD will have the longest range. But you're talking close to $1 million here.
Yeah.
Entry-level electric cars, I think the Aura is around about 800, somewhere around there, 800.
Yes.
Something like that. You really got to do your homework and when thinking about purchasing something like this, because it's that kind of money you could buy yourself a really good diesel vehicle that's very fuel efficient.
You know how much gas I can
great
put in my
resale.
V8 for 800,000 Rand?
Yeah, but there's some people don't want big V8s. They want the electric cars.
Well,
I think electric cars are nice to drive, but you really got to have a look at them properly. And one thing that affects them hugely is resale value. The resale value on electric cars is actually quite shocking because...
Oh, I like that. See what you did
You got
there.
it. You got it eventually. I wouldn't... you just woke up.
3 working days, but
I would be very careful of things like the resale value on electric cars. But let's get into the finance side of things. Make any difference if I finance an electric car or a diesel or a petrol? Or
There is a slight difference, but let me just start with there's probably another option as well. If he wants to gradually get into the EV side, there's also plug-in hybrids. Which can maybe start with that as just to introduce himself to the EV environment.
Yeah, it's not a bad option. The hybrid is another option. But
on the finance side, I think in the beginning, obviously, there is a higher purchase price on those vehicles, which we are expecting them that they're going to reduce as time goes on. Overall, I think banks, in most cases, there is some savings that you can make in terms of interest because of the environmental cleanliness and all this other stuff where we do give you some form of reward or on finance.
From the banks, from the finance point of view.
Correct, yeah.
For environmental friendliness.
Vehicles, yes. So we look at the level of combustions and stuff like that, and then we sort of give you either a rebate in terms of interest or sometimes it's even cash back to you for buying an electric or a hybrid vehicles. There's also the things that we also look at is the battery lifespan, which in most cases would depend on the manufacturers to inform you how long is it covered and so forth. Also, the longer the warranty, it also improves our finance terms because we know that actually ultimately what the EV is all about is the battery that sits within the vehicle. So we need that to be working all the time. And then also the resale value, as you mentioned, still a challenge at the stage, but obviously the more the vehicle starts pumping into the market, hopefully that also changes over time. The thing that's still a little bit expensive at this stage is also the insurance side of the business. I think the insurance companies are still trying to get to understand that environment as well. as to what components do you actually insure. You don't have turbochargers, you don't have all those
repair
things.
costs,
Correct.
and the technology and the training of people to be able to repair these vehicles is a whole new story.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Thank you for joining us and for all your helpful tips and advice.
Okay, until next time, please guys, buckle up, stay safe, and don't drive like an idiot.